everybody. In this video, we will be discussing about chain of custody. After watching this video, you will be able to define chain of custody, list the best practices to be followed for maintaining digital evidences, and describe the importance of chain of custody. What is chain of custody? A custody is the process of documenting all changes in controlling, handling, possession, ownership, or custody of a piece of evidence till the time it reaches the court of law. Let us see an example of chain of custody. Inspector Abhijit collects a gun from the place of crime and puts it into an evidence bag. He then hands it over to Ajit, a forensic technician. Ajit takes the gun to the forensic lab and collects the fingerprints and other evidences from the weapon. He then hands over the gun and the evidence collected to the evidence clerk Manu. Manu stores the evidence safely after documenting all people who came in contact with the original evidence and creates digital copies of the lifted fingerprints. Here's the table of the chain of custody. From the table, it is evident that Abhijit was in possession of the gun from 10:17 am on the 29th October 2016 till 10:27 am on the 29th of October 2016. Next, the gun was in possession of Ajit from 10:27 am to 3:45 pm on 29th October 2016. So Abhijit and Ajit are responsible for anything that has happened between 10:17 am to 3:45 pm on 29th October 2016. If the chain of custody is challenged by the defendant and if it is proven or has ambiguity or discrepancy, then the evidence will not be admissible in the court of law. Next, let us learn about the practices to be followed for maintaining digital evidences. Number 1. Guard the best evidence closely. The first image of the hard drive that is taken from the scene of investigation is the best evidence because it is the closest to the original. The chain of custody form should be from the best evidence and should be preserved under lock and key. Number 2. Don't work on the original evidence. Once the best evidence is gathered and stored, bit by bit, physical image copies of the same has to be made and all examinations and analysis have to be done on the second copy. Number 3. Keep the chain of custody up to date each time and the best evidences is retrieved from the safe custody and handed to someone else. The chain of custody form has to be filled up. Number 4. Don't produce the hardware in the court as evidence unless it is asked for. It makes more sense to the jury to file an affidavit on what has been found from the digital evidence that has been retrieved from the scene of crime or fraud that has produced than producing the hardware to the court. Number 5. Get rid of evidences as soon as you can. Keep the evidences only as long as you are legally required to keep the evidence. Storing it for longer durations will only be a wastage of resources. Some guidelines must be followed for proper chain of custody of the digital forensic evidences. They are: ensure that the investigators have a strong knowledge and experiences in IT and telecommunications, documentation of all resources of data from time of receipt to the evidence, keep the original package materials in safe custody, take pictures of physical evidences, store the screenshots of digital evidence content, use write blocking devices to ensure no data changes takes place even inadvertently. Next, we will learn about importance of chain custody from different perspectives. Let us now look into the aspect of the importance of chain of custody from the perspective of a forensic investigator, the court, and the investigation itself. First is forensic investigator. The metadata of the file provides information on the file origination, the creation of the file, and the kind of equipment used to create the file. Using this information, the investigator can create an exemplar using the same equipment and compare the file properties. Next, we will see the importance of chain of custody from the perspective of the court. The investigator is always expected to be prepared with a complete chain of custody for the purpose of digital evidence. Otherwise, the opposing lawyer can easily challenge the same or dismiss the presented evidence. This is very important for its admissibility in the court of law. The chain of custody is also important from the perspective of the investigation. The first step of authenticating the digital evidence is investigation. The chain of custody gives information as to whether its information has been copied or cloned. Not always does the investigator receive the digital evidence from the original source at the time of acquisition or seizure. Hence, the accompanying paper trail for the chain of custody is very crucial, and it should be a part of an unbroken time trail. Challenges to chain of custody. There are certain challenges to maintain a proper chain of custody. They hinder the process and can render the data inadmissible in court. They are forensic tools for mobile devices, data forensics in cloud computing environment, forensic tools for the voice over IP, forensic tools for the vehicle computing systems. There has to be an accurate log under chain of custody, and the logs have to be audited. Hence, it is better for the digital forensics investigator to have a strong automated system to maintain the chain of custody of digital evidences, something that is consistent with today's digital world. Let us have a quick recap of what we have discussed. In this video, we learned that a chain of custody is the process of documenting all changes in the controlling, handling, possession, ownership of or custody of a piece of evidence till the time it reaches the court of law. Certain guidelines need to be followed by investigators while handling digital evidences. The chain of custody is crucial from perspective of forensic investigator, the court, and the investigation for various reasons. Some of the challenges to chain of custody are forensic tools for mobile devices, data forensics in cloud computing environment, forensic tools for the voice over IP, and forensic tools for the vehicle computer systems.